Hey guys, and welcome back to another day of Vlogmas. If you can't tell by the state of my shelves over here, today we're going to be talking about quite a few different books because I'm going to be sharing with you guys my most owned authors. Now, when I originally started planning for Vlogmas this year, one of the videos I immediately thought of doing was some kind of a publisher spotlight in which I shared with you guys all of the books that I own from one particular publisher. However, looking at my shelves and kind of sorting through them, what I realized is that I tend to own groupings of books more by author than by publisher, so that spawned this video idea. So basically what I did was go through my shelves and pull the authors where I own at least 3 of their books, because I feel like 2 books, you know, maybe you're just giving them a second chance, but 3 books, you're kind of locked in to the fact that you have quite a bit of that author on your shelves. First of all, let's just go ahead and talk about who is the actual most owned author on my TBR, and technically there are 2 of them. They are actually both tied for first place with 10 books owned for each one of them, and they are Jane Austen and J.R.R. Tolkien. Now, I'm not actually going to be sharing those books with you because I actually have collection videos on each one of those authors, so I will link them in the cards and down in the description box below. But for the rest of these authors, let's go ahead and go through the books that I own. I'm literally surrounded by stacks of books, so I'm just gonna grab whatever is closest to me, and we're gonna start off with Kazuo Ishiguro. Now, I own 4 of his books and I have read 2 of them. The 2 that I have read are Never Let Me Go and The Remains of the Day. Never Let Me Go is one of my favorite books of all time, though it's been a while since I mentioned it here on the channel. And then when it comes to The Remains of the Day, I actually have a full video review of this one up, so again, check the description box. If I have any reviews, I will go ahead and link them down below. As for the Ishiguro on my shelves that I have yet to read, I have The Buried Giant, which is like his fantasy novel, I guess, and then I also have A Pale View of Hills, which I believe might be his first published novel. And you know, if you don't mind, if I can reach the spot where they go, I'm just gonna stick these back on the shelves because that's less cleanup I have to do later. Another author with 4 books on my shelves is Jhumpa Lahiri, and I feel like I have a mixed relationship with her because coming out of college I was in love with her writing. I actually wrote my senior thesis on several of the short stories in Interpreter of Maladies, which is her debut short story collection that also won the Pulitzer Prize. I've reread this one multiple times, and like I said, I really love it, but when it comes to her other short story collection, Unaccustomed Earth, I started this one in 2016 and got stuck. So I don't know if it's just this collection in general or if this was a, you know, a one-time love affair with her writing. I don't know. Probably the correct thing to do to kind of settle the score is to just try out some of her longer fiction, of which I own both The Namesake and The Lowland. I also own 4 of Haruki Murakami's books, and as kind of seems to be the pattern here, I have read 2 of them. The 2 that I have read are Norwegian Wood, which I feel like is a lot of people's introduction to Murakami, but I've also read South of the Border, West of the Sun, which I really thoroughly enjoyed. The 2 of his that I own and have not yet read are Kafka on the Shore and Sputnik Sweetheart. I feel like Kafka on the Shore is one that gets recommended to me all of the time, so this is probably going to be the next one of his that I end up picking up. Moving on to 3 book authors, I first wanted to mention, whoa, Amy Tan, because it looks like I have 4 of her books. I own 2 of her novels, the first being The Kitchen God's Wife and the second being The Valley of Amazement. I have not yet read any of her adult novels, though I have read several of her children's books, and I've read her newest memoir, Where the Past Begins, A Writer's Memoir. It looks like I own 4 of her books because I own the finished copy of the memoir, and then I also own the proof review copy that I was sent to review, and I haven't gotten rid of it because I have all my notes in here, and at some point I would like to transfer the notes from here into the finished copy, but you know, like, life's busy. I haven't gotten to do that yet. I also own 3 books by Keats Johnson, the first of which is Fudoki. I'm sure this is no surprise. You guys know this is one of my favorite books, and I talk about it incessantly, though I feel like I've restrained myself quite a bit this year. I also own The Foxwoman, which I believe is in the same general universe as Fudoki, though I don't think there's any specific order you need to read them in because they are distinct, separate stories. And then I also own her short story collection, At the Mouth of the River of Bees, which has like the most gorgeous cover ever. So far, my most owned authors have been fairly modern, though I do have 2 classic authors that land on this list as well. The first of which, who should we start off with? Let's go with Nathaniel Hawthorne. When it comes to Nathaniel Hawthorne, I own these 2 short story collections primarily because of courses I took in college, though I did also study him in high school briefly, I believe. I honestly really enjoy his short stories. I think they have this real eerie quality to them that makes them perfect reading for fall, specifically around Halloween. And I think if I was to recommend any of the short stories in these collections in particular, I would definitely say The Birthmark, Roger Melvin's Burial, Young Goodman Brown, and actually My Kinsman, Major Molyneux. If you're looking for like a Halloween story, that's a really great one. Then I also own The Scarlet Letter, which I somehow did not ever have to read while in high school or going through my English degree, which I would like to rectify. And I picked this copy up at a library book sale, and I just think it's got a really cool, like super vintage vibe. And then lastly, we have my beloved Mark Twain. I used to own 4 of his books. I had 2 copies of Huck Finn, but one of them, like the spine completely fell apart, so I just got rid of it. When it comes to his novels, I of course own Tom Sawyer. This is the original copy that I received as like a 10-year-old from my mother. It's been reread multiple times. And then I also have a Norton Critical edition of Huck Finn. Like I mentioned, I used to have a different version of Huck Finn, but I actually prefer this because it's got a lot of really great scholarship in the back. There's a lot of really helpful footnotes. So if you're looking for a school copy and you don't, like, your professor doesn't specify a specific edition, I would really recommend this one. And again, if you can't tell by the horrible condition of the cover, this one's been reread many a time. And then the other book of Mark Twain's that I own, I have not read, and that is Life on the Mississippi. Now, I'm not really clear if this is a strict autobiography or if this is autobiographical fiction, but I've owned this for a while, so I really should get to this. So those are my most owned authors, and I think you guys can kind of see the pattern here. I tend to read like 1 or 2 of their books and then feel like I need to go all in because I've enjoyed what I've read so far. I don't know if that's actually a good way to go about collecting most owned authors, seeing as because I have so many of their books unread on my shelves, I can't really speak to whether or not they're actually favorite authors or whether I just keep buying their books. Anyways, I would love to know what you guys think about collecting authors. Do you kind of pick up one book at a time? Do you read one book and then feel like you need to go out and buy everything they've ever written? Let me know in a comment down below. But that is all I have for today's video, so thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye! Another author that I own, oops.